Hi Aquarius, welcome. This is Taurus Tarot and I'm Joy, and we are doing a reading for Aquarius. So just tapping in to that energy field that connects us all, and we're trying to get a read for Aquarius. Okay, so what is the energy for Aquarius in the month of May? What is important for Aquarius to know for the month of May? I was picking up that this has been a real challenging time for you. Of course, it's been a challenging time for everyone, but I feel that the challenges for you have been a little bit long lasting, maybe a little bit more intense than the average person. Yeah, but I do feel some benefit from it. Of course, always the challenges that we face, there's they're opportunities, really, right? And it's whether or not we are able to capitalize on those opportunities that kind of allow us to bring those challenges to a different place, right? To a different energy to them. So really it's our ability to view challenges as opportunities that really can move us in a very different direction than where we are. And I always like to describe it as kind of like life, there's a rhythm to life. Like once you start becoming more aware, more conscious of your thoughts, more conscious of just the flow of everything, you really start to see that there is a rhythm. There is a rhythm to life. There is the ups and downs, the ebb and flow, right? And you always come out of the challenges. You always come out of the challenges. And even in I can hear some people saying, well, what if it ends up in death for you? What if that challenge ends up in death for you? That's possibly that possibly can be the case, but at the same time, death is not the end. Where one door closes, another one opens, and we are not that is not the end of us. Death is not the end of us. We continue to go on. We are eternal spiritual beings living having a temporary experience here on earth. That's really what it is. And so death kind of just leads us into that next stage. That's all. It's not the end of things. So we are always working through the ups and downs of life, right? The ebb and flow of life. And when we are, at a low point, in a valley, really there is no other way but to go up. I mean, it sounds cliche, but that's really the way it works. You go up. And sometimes, we can our baseline can be here, right? And we dip and we get pretty low, maybe, in fact, maybe sometimes the harder it is, the more challenging it is, if we do that work, that deep self work, it can actually bring us above where we were and into a new baseline, a higher baseline. And that is really what elevating consciousness is about. That is really what working your way towards enlightenment is about. And enlightenment is really just like it's this ability to take a step back from it all, transmute those really low vibrational feelings into something higher, and move to a better place by being able to let go of all of those things that you were previously holding on to that really didn't serve you well, that only really served to hold you down in a negative space. And so I like to think of enlightenment as being able to let those things go. You literally feel lighter. There's just this like the sigh of relief of the weight being lifted off of your shoulders. And that's really what is happening, but on a very mental, emotional, spiritual level. Yeah. So what we have here for you is the Seven of Cups. I think this describes well what I was feeling prior to pulling the cards, which is this kind of this state of like really not knowing like what to do next. Like you're kind of like, oh my God, where do I go from here? Like, do I do this or do I do this? Or you know, I like to take action. I like to get stuff done, but I just like I'm at a loss. I don't know how to do that. Like, which direction do I go in? Which direction do I move in? You know, I can't do this, or maybe I can do this, but now I have to learn how to do it in a different way. But you know, or maybe I should go this way where I can do it, but you know, it's just not going to mean the same for me. You know, whatever it is, it's kind of like this feeling of like just really not knowing which direction to move in, and really wanting to move in a direction, almost like any direction, but really not being able to be in a space of like, okay, I can make this decision and stand by it and see it through until I get further information about, you know, whether maybe I need to move in a different direction. This is like being unable to really take that first step in any direction. That's the energy I'm feeling from you. I'm also feeling like it's very conflicting for you. There's like you really don't like it. You're the type of person that like, you know, you have conviction. You can, you know, see things clearly from a very logical point of view, and then make, you know, the most educated decision based on the information. I feel like that's typically you, but more recently you've been in this energy of like really not being able to make any kinds of decisions, just kind of feeling scattered and not knowing how to move forward. And it's troubling for you, it's frustrating for you, because maybe you may not have necessarily experienced that before, or at least not at this level. Yeah, so definitely, I mean, it feels like you're being too dependent on others. It feels like, you know, that, you know, maybe you're at home right now, and maybe you were in a position before where you know, you were the breadwinner, you were out there making the money for the family, and because of the type of work you do, that's not an option for you right now, and you've been home, and you've been relying on, you know, perhaps a partner or perhaps family or friends to help you get by, or been relying on some, you know, rainy day savings. So you are not liking that, though. You are not liking that feeling of not being in control, not being able to make decisions, feeling a little lost. It's very, very uncomfortable for you. Yeah. But, you know, ultimately, I think it's really important for you this month to remember that ultimately, when you, again, like you know, what I was saying in the beginning, it's there's this ebb and flow, right? The highs and lows of life. And if you are able to move through the challenges in a way that brings you greater understanding of self and therefore others, it's really going to bring you to a happier place. Yeah. And you know, this time is a time for yes, it's challenging, yes, everything is disrupted, but it really is, you know, also a time for opportunity of new ways of doing things, you know, innovation, new ways of communicating with each other that perhaps you never tried before. You know, perhaps you're you know, a text person, right? But maybe this social isolation has really gotten you down, and so you really started utilizing like video calls, and it's been, you know, wonderful to be able to have a conversation with someone and see their face and their facial expressions, and you know, and maybe it's been great for you. So that's just a small example of how these challenging times can move us in different directions if we are willing to look at things in a little bit of a different way. Yeah, and this can apply to all sorts of things, not just you know, communication, or you know, even in the relationships that you have, maybe the intimate relationships at home that you have. You know, from that learning of, you know, moving from text to like video calls, that and having that more personal interaction, that really can be applied to things like your, you know, your intimate relationships at home. And you know, having, you know, video calls, you know, you have to be there, right, in front of the phone and to see a video, and you're looking at the person in their face. And maybe those kinds of, you know, conversations can translate into the person at home, right, with your partner, that when you decide to have a conversation, you are, you know, fully present, and you're there, and you're looking at your partner in the eye, and you're having an intimate conversation with them, instead of what may have happened before, which was, you know, in passing. You're trying to have, you know, a conversation, and you're not quite sure if your partner's listening, or you're not quite sure even if you're really paying attention to your partner talking, or if they're listening to you. And so, you know, out of all of this, there can be this opportunity to really deepen our personal connections and make them more intimate. It's really only when we understand our partner's thoughts and feelings and history even, and all of that, do we really understand them, you know, and are we really able to have those kinds of the deep, intimate connections with someone, is when we take the time to fully understand them. Yeah. So there's all kinds of wonderful things that can come out of you know, this challenging time. And this is really just saying that's, you know, that's exactly what's going to happen if you take the time to make those little tweaks, to make those little adjustments in how you move forward. You know, it's going to bring you some real happiness. Yeah. And maybe right now, it's important for you to feel this. Yeah. To feel this frustration, to feel this lack of control, to feel this, you know, lack of ability to think clearly and make decisions. Maybe it's important to be in that space for a little while, to feel it fully, because I think when you feel your emotions fully, you are able to recognize that feeling in others, and it makes you more compassionate, because you can more fully see what someone else might be experiencing or going through. And having had that feeling yourself, you're able to really you know, understand them in a different way. And that's huge for humanity, you know, for moving forward in our humanity, right, is really being able to understand the other. I think, you know, we can, you know, that we can liken that to like what's happening in our political system right now, right? There's huge division, and it's been happening for a little while, granted, right? But there's huge division, there's huge polarization, and it really comes down to a lack of understanding and compassion from one side to the other, you know, and so, you know, that's how like a lack of compassion and understanding can play out in our you know, real 3D in our 3D physical reality. Yeah. So going back to my point, which is it's really important to feel these feelings, not just these feelings, but any feelings that might be challenging or difficult, or even the ones that are wonderful, right? To feel those feelings fully and understand them fully and work through them, not just for yourself, but for when you engage with others. You now have that understanding and that compassion. Okay, so this too shall pass, Aquarius, and really, how quickly it passes depends on how willing you are to accept the challenge. Okay, accept the challenge and move into a much brighter space. Yeah. All right. Okay, Aquarius, I wish you all the best. Sending lots of aloha to you, lots of love, lots of compassion, and take care. Namaste.